Now, because Betty Who has said she holds space for the idea that Reneé Rapp could possibly meet a man in the future, they're now calling her lesbophobic. I've heard a lot of phobics in my day.
I mean, I'm not, like, what she said is mildly annoying to me. I'm not that offended by it, but it is a little annoying because so many lesbians are told constantly, you'll need to find the right man. One day you'll find the right man. Are you sure you're really a lesbian? And so what she said reminds a lot of people, a lot of lesbians, what they've been told their whole lives. And so it is annoying to hear it. I'm not that offended by it, but I can see why people are annoyed.
She called out the Alphabet Mafia, you know, the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, and now she is getting eaten alive on the internet.
What is your definition of eaten alive? Is it just getting criticism?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better.
I love that intro song. It's so catchy.
Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, today we're going to be talking about Betty Who. And if you're asking, who is Betty Who? She is an Australian musician.
Before yesterday, I don't think I've never heard of Betty Who.
And singer. She's got some music out there that you guys can go and check out if you like. Now, she recently was on a podcast titled Made It Out. This is apparently a lesbian-centered podcast, whatever that means. And she had a conversation about her queerness. Now, she is an individual who identifies as queer, but ended up with a man. Now, she decided to speak.
I mean, that's not really uncommon or shocking. I really think the main reason is because there's way more men out there than there are queer women. So a lot of queer women just end up with men because it's just a numbers thing.
Speak about this phenomenon and her thoughts on identifying as queer, yet ending up with a man. And this has pissed off the LGBTQ plus community, especially the L.
I don't really think it's pissed them off. It is somewhat annoying. And I think when I'm hearing what she's saying, I can see why.
The lesbians are not liking it. Let's watch the clip.
I'm a queer person who was like, I'm probably going to grow up to be gay. And then I became obsessed with a boy. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. It doesn't mean that I am not queer and that I don't represent or like love the queer community and exist in the queer community. A huge part of queerness is like identifying yourself and putting yourself under like, you know, Alphabet Mafia. It's like, which one are you? And if you change that, I will never forget it. You know, right? Like, it's funny that Reneé Rapp is like, you'll never catch me dating a man. It's like, go off, queen. Like, I love that for you. I also hold space for her in 10 years if she goes, oops, I met the love of my life and it's this man. I didn't mean to. It's
right.
Like, that's okay. You know, it shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be illegal for you to fall in love. It's kind of like, now we've come so far that.
Yeah, that's a little bit tone deaf. I get what she's trying to say. She's trying to say that, you know, you think you are one thing one day, and then you just fall in love, and it shocks you because it goes against what you thought you were. But now you're realizing you like someone that doesn't fit into your label. And there's always space in the LGBT community for you. But saying the word illegal in a world where it's illegal, literally it's illegal to be gay. In a lot of countries, gay people literally get executed for being gay, and it's punishable by death. That's a bit tone deaf.
Our community is so strong that now it's like a crime to be straight.
So there you
go. Yeah, the wording, I get what she's trying to say. I like the message. I don't like the words that she's using. Because in a world where it's a crime to be gay in many countries, in a world where fascism is on the rise, saying that it's a crime to be straight is very tone deaf. And I can see why some people have a problem with it.
is the clip in question. Now, did she say anything wrong in that clip? Hell no. Okay. She said she happens to be a queer person who fell in love with a man, which happens. And she's going on to say that's okay. You shouldn't be alienated or made to feel like you've made some sort of mistake because you fell in love with a man. Now, she brings up Reneé Rapp, which happens to be, I guess, a bigger mistake than any in this clip. That's what people are really talking about. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Reneé Rapp, she's a pop star right now who is on a meteoric rise, I guess, really in the LGBTQ plus community. She identifies as lesbian and, of course, has said she would never date a man, even though she has in the past.
Yeah. A lot of lesbians date men before they realize they're lesbians. I don't know why you're like, you sound shocked by that, but like, it's not that uncommon for lesbians to grow up thinking they like men and then realizing, I don't actually like men. I only was dating men because that's what society wants me to do.
But whatever. Okay. Now, because Betty Who has said she holds space for the idea that Reneé Rapp could possibly meet a man in the future, they're now calling her lesbophobic. I've heard a lot of phobics in my day.
I mean, I'm not like, what she said is mildly annoying to me. I'm not that offended by it, but it is a little annoying because so many lesbians are told constantly, you need to find the right man. One day you'll find the right man. Are you sure you're really a lesbian? And so what she said reminds a lot of people, a lot of lesbians, what they've been told their whole lives. And so it is annoying to hear it. I'm not that offended by it, but I can see why people are annoyed.
Lesbophobic is not necessarily new, but the flippancy with which this word is being thrown out, be so for real, you guys.
I mean, are you a lesbian? Like, who are you to determine if it's used flippantly or not?
Lesbophobic, she is being called now. A queer woman who is dating a man who's just talking about this phenomenon is now being called lesbophobic.
I mean, queer people can be homophobic. Internalized homophobia is very common. It's very common for lesbians to be biphobic. It's common for gay people to be transphobic. It's common for gay people to be homophobic against themselves. Like,
you guys give me a break. Can you give anybody else a break? Now, she says jokingly that straight has become illegal with the way that we've sort of politicized things, with the way we talk about these communities and self-identification.
It's a joke, but in my opinion, it's a pretty shitty joke, especially considering what the world is like right now and the fact that gay people are losing their rights in other countries. It's a tone-deaf, shitty joke. I don't really see how it's funny.
And she's not necessarily wrong. This is not just an issue within the LGBTQ plus community. It's an issue within leftism and wokeism. The right deals with this issue as well. This sort of tribalistic view that once you have labeled yourself as part of a group, you are part of that group till the day you die. You must toe the line in the ideology of that particular group or you're done for. You are not accepted anymore. And that's the feeling that she's getting from the LGBTQ plus community, and that's okay to talk about it. In fact, there's plenty of evidence that what she's saying...
I get what she's saying. And like I said, I think her message is okay. I can see what she's trying to say, but she didn't say it the right way.
Actually true. We've watched recently as JoJo Siwa, a young girl who identified as queer, took on a straight relationship dating this guy named Chris Hughes. Now, she was getting flamed online by the LGBTQ plus community who once claimed her, saying that it's ridiculous that she should find herself in an opposite sex relationship.
That's a bit disingenuous because you're leaving out the fact that she cheated on her partner on live TV. And I think that's mainly what people were upset about. It's not the fact that she found a man. It's more so the fact that she was cheating on her partner on live TV and didn't seem to care.
Can we stand up? Can we actually stand up? You are okay to be in a romantic relationship with whoever you want to be in a romantic relationship with. You are okay to...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well established that women can be in relationships with men. In fact, that's what's been encouraged in society for years. Women are literally socialized from the beginning to be with men.
to think you're part of one label and then to switch up and realize that you're not. You're okay to not label anything, okay? We can actually just move through the world and experience life and see what befalls us without having to identify as a particular part of a community that we are now, I guess, submitted to and must believe and fall for and be in community with for the rest of our lives. We do not have to keep doing this. But nonetheless, Betty Who is getting response after response to what she.
So you're against people calling themselves straight, I guess, or you have a main issue with like gay people saying they're gay.
Of course, many are calling her lesbophobic. I'm going to read you some tweets, and then we're going to watch some video responses as well. One person says, seeing Betty Who essentially imply Reneé Rapp could look up in 10 years and decide she wants a man, even though Girly is explicitly identifying as a lesbian and is literally in a relationship, I would be seeing red. The only reason you should be seeing red from what you hear, or, you know, hypothesizing that Reneé Rapp should be seeing red, is if you have poor emotional regulation. Okay.
I think she's being hyperbolic. Like, people on Twitter are usually very hyperbolic. I think what she said was annoying because, and it's not just her, it's a lot of people in general have a hard time wrapping their heads around lesbians only wanting other women, and that they cannot possibly fall in love with or want sex with a man. And so it is annoying when she says stuff like this, because this reminds lesbians of the countless times other people have invalidated their sexualities and have told them, you just need to find the right man.
Say nothing wrong. She said, go off, queen, when Reneé Rapp said she would never date a man. And she says, you know what? If she just so happens to in 10 years from now, which is a hypothetical, not a prescription, okay, it will be fine. And that she'll also hold space for that. Why are you guys so upset? And when you get so triggered by this, it almost implies an insecurity about the identification and the label that you've put on yourself. Maybe if we were more chill in response to this.
Well, I think it's because lesbians are, like I said, lesbians are usually invalidated in society. Society does not take their relationships seriously. It constantly devalues relationships between women. And so a lot of lesbians are understandably insecure about their sexualities, but you're not a lesbian, so you wouldn't understand.
And you sort of let it fly off like water off a duck's back. Nobody would be questioning.
For you to say, when you haven't had your sexuality constantly devalued and people just accept your sexuality,
your identity and the label that you've placed on yourself. But again, I digress. Let's read another one. It says, it's genuinely depressing how much lesbophobic rhetoric is accepted and spread by other queer folks themselves, simply because lesbians dare to not be attracted to men. It's just so tired and angry. Also, Reneé Rapp should be allowed to cuss out whoever this Betty Who freak is. Another says, Betty Who on that podcast tells Reneé Rapp to hold space. And then why are we still pushing the narrative that lesbians just haven't found the right man yet? Is that what she said? Did she say that all lesbians just haven't found the right man yet? Or did she say, I'll leave room for somebody if they just so happen to relinquish themselves of a very hard structured identity and decide that they want something different?
Well, people can't choose their sexuality, so when you say decided to relinquish themselves, you're making it sound like Reneé Rapp is choosing to not open herself up to men.
She said the latter of the two. At least I think. That's what I heard. Let's watch another video. This one's on TikTok, and this is a TikTok response to Betty Who.
This is the type of shit that could only be uttered by a fucking white woman, a white queer one. Oh my god. For reference, if you saw my video from a couple days ago, this is exactly the clip I was referencing. Exactly the clip I was trying to tell Reneé Rapp that she hasn't found the right guy, and we would love if in 10 years she became straight, and that straightness is somehow becoming a crime in the fascist country we're living in right now.
True.
This is blatant lesbophobia. Like, I don't know what to tell you other than this is just lesbophobia, and I do think there is a huge problem with specifically white bisexual women who have fallen in love with men, and that has been their experience, painting everybody else's experience with the same brush to say, well, this happened for me, so surely it could happen for you too, which, again, people are gay, honey. People are gay. I am gay, so no, that's actually never gonna fucking happen for me. I'm so irritated.
Oh, wow. A person on the left is so irritated. Okay, breaking news. Fork found in drawer, people. I mean, people are always upset about anything. I mean, just one week it's a new celebrity, the next week it's another, and this is going to go on in this cyclical nature for the rest of our lives. It almost becomes meaningless to respond to it, but nonetheless.
Well, I just feel like when people say their sexuality, you should just accept it and not say shit like, oh, well, sexuality is fluid. You shouldn't label yourself. Oh, well, maybe in 10 years you'll find the right man or woman. Like, if somebody says they're straight or bi or gay, you should just accept it and not argue with them.
Here we are. There are a couple more TikTok reviews and responses, I guess, that we shall get into before I respond. Let's watch this one. It says, POV, you're a lesbian in 2025.
And then I just became obsessed with a boy. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay, and one more.
Okay.
One says, every woman love woman celebrity in 2025.
Yes, I am with a boy now. I've changed. I'm softer. I've left that life of chaos behind.
Okay, and I'm not even gonna dignify this by watching the entire.
That's funny though. It does kind of represent the current state of sapphic celebrities, I suppose. I mean, I don't really listen to a lot of sapphic singers or queer celebrities, to be honest. I'm not really aware of many of them.
Video. You guys get what's happening here, right? Okay, this person said a perfectly reasonable thing. She's actually pointed out something that is worthy of discussion given the way we talk about sexuality and we push orientation onto people and we push people to label not only their sexuality but every single essence of their being, personality, and living experience. And if somebody dares to question that and this is the response that they get, it's reinforcing exactly what she said. You've actually given her.
It's not, well, I don't think it's so much that she realized she's not a lesbian. It's more so the way she delivered that message, I think, was a bit shitty. I think it was a bit tone deaf. And I think it's more so the delivery of the message than what she's actually saying.
Enough power and ammunition to just restate exactly what she said in that video, because you guys can't stand the idea of somebody questioning the structure of the moral and sexual framework that you live in.
I mean, we live in a society that tells people that they're straight, so I don't know.
Literally what's happening here. And you know what? We're going to see example after example of young people, young women, young men identifying as queer, lesbian, and gay, and then finding themselves in opposite sex relationships because that's just the way that life goes. And we now live in a time where people feel this deep and distinct pressure to find themselves in a community, to label themselves so that they can be a part of something, so that they can feel like they belong, so that they can have a fight, a movement, a purpose. And right now, that fight, movement, and purpose just so happens to be concentrated within the LGBTQIA+ community. So yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people who take on the identity and then realize that at least for now, I want to be in a relationship with a man or a woman if they're a man identifying as queer. It's going to go on. And interestingly enough,
I mean, the LGBTQ community is full of people who are in opposite sex relationships. It's not really that uncommon.
In another example I gave of Jojo Siwa, who's a huge, female figure amongst young people and is very well known in the internet space and just, in the US in general, she said a large part of the reason that she identified as queer and lesbian and started going to the pride parades and becoming such a motivator for the LGBTQ+ movement is because she felt pressured to identify within the group by people within the group. So here you are. It's the reality that you've literally asked for and that you're reinforcing with the response to Betty Who and what she said in this clip. So when she jokingly says that it almost feels illegal to be straight, that we've course corrected too far, she very much has a point because you are literally treating her right now as though she has committed a crime. And
the crime isn't... I think most people do not give a fuck that she's with a man. I think what people care about is the fact that she's making it out to seem that it's such an oppression for women to date men in a world where women are socialized to have straight relationships, in a world where being gay is criminalized in many countries. She's making it out to be this oppression. And I'm not saying she doesn't get shit from within the community, because I'm sure she does, and that shouldn't happen. But she's making it out to be like she's somehow oppressed by being with a man. And I just think that's tone deaf. I think that's tone deaf.
Examples of this happening within woke ideology and the woke framework. When we look at feminism, you start out with the first, the second, the third wave, and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, we are course correcting for a bit. There are things that women should be able to do. There are ways in which women should be treated that need to be implemented in society. And now all of a sudden we are allowing, I don't know, men to identify as women and take on womanhood. Well, wait a second. Isn't that actually patriarchal? If we're allowing men to compete against women in their sports, haven't we actually course correct?
That doesn't really happen, though. Like, trans women are like 1% of the population. It's not like this global epidemic that trans people are taking away real women's spots in sports teams.
Corrected too far and moved to reaffirm patriarchy. Okay, so when she says we've course corrected too far and now you are alienating people for being in straight relationships, she has indeed a point. If JoJo Siwa is saying she felt proud.
I mean, like I said, I'm sure some people give her shit in the community, but the LGBT community is full of people in straight relationships. It's not uncommon. In fact, most bisexual women are in straight relationships. They're still bi and they're still part of the community, but it's not uncommon at all.
To identify, she has a point. If Betty Who is saying she got a lot of heat for being with a man, she has a point. If you have singer-songwriters who literally have to put out an entire song apologizing for being in a romantic relationship, they have a point. And somebody's in the wrong here, and I don't think it's the people who happen to find love with men.
I have a point, but I think the way that they said it was a little shitty and tone deaf.
Just food for thought. I don't know. Take it or leave it. Guys, those are my thoughts on this whole Betty Who situation.
Well, these are my thoughts on your reaction to the situation.
I don't know what else there is to say.
I don't know what else there is to say either. So that's my reaction to this video. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments, like, subscribe, and I will see you all later.